And we're live. How's it going, everyone? Video lawyer here. So I'm live streaming again, and I'm actually testing out for the first time live streaming. I'm live streaming to YouTube and um, Instagram. I've never live streamed to Instagram before. I'm over here. I'm live streaming to TikTok. Thanks everyone for showing up on TikTok. Um, and I'll let people kind of filter in. I've been live streaming, not so much with legal content, although a decent amount of it, for a couple of years now, on and off. Um, I've actually had some decent luck, not a lot of luck, live streaming over on YouTube. Um, and I've only recently started live streaming to TikTok like I am over here, and I've never live streamed to LinkedIn like I am here. So basically, I have LinkedIn and YouTube coming in through StreamYard, and then I have TikTok over here. I can bring TikTok sort of into the live stream if I want to, but TikTok won't be able to see what's on the screen over here. So if people want to comment or whatever, you can head over to um, YouTube if you want, or LinkedIn. But if you go to YouTube, just search Video Lawyer, you'll find me there. So I really wanted to kind of, I guess, get people's feedback if they have any on live streaming, especially for lawyers or maybe other professionals, but lawyers that are trying to get into more marketing like I am, trying to, compete in a world that is becoming increasingly expensive and competitive, especially in the personal injury space, like I am in. I'm trying to get into more. Um, you know, video. I think video is really all we have left, unless you have just a very huge marketing budget for us solos and small firms to try to compete and try to find clients and referral partners and things of that nature. So I think video in of itself, regardless of how you're doing it, is very, very important and potentially valuable in the coming months and years as we try to acclimate to a world of AI and Google sort of resetting how it does things. I know it's dealing with some problems with its ad program and things like that. So that's all going to get sorted out. But I know a lot of people. I listen to a lot of Gary Vee. I find a lot of what he says to be really helpful, and he's not he's not a legal marketer, um, but he has said that he thinks live streaming is is the next thing that's going to hit, and the thing that people, entrepreneurs, thing like that, people like that need to do. So I'm just curious, has anyone seen um, lawyers or professionals be successful in the live stream space? And if so, is it more so B2B, so lawyer to other lawyer, or is it B2C, lawyer to customers and clients? The only live streaming that I'm kind of aware of is my buddy Jim Hacking. I think his is a little sort of a unique situation. So he's got a huge immigration practice, and he live streams, like, I think, almost every day on YouTube, and I think he may live stream on TikTok as well. But he does a like a daily live stream, I think almost every single day, just talking about immigration questions, a lot of common questions, and helping people, figure out, if it's something that he can help them with, or if not, directing them in another direction. And I think he's really tapped into something where people, I think there is a lot of people that may not be sure what to do there, or may need help over a long period of time, where he gets a lot of recurring audience to that show, and I'm certain he gets a lot of business for his law firm through that show. So that's probably the best example I know of a lawyer or law firm using live stream and building a pretty impressive audience for that B2C approach. I'm not aware of anyone else, and if anyone's aware of any attorneys, it doesn't have to be attorneys. Maybe it's other professionals. Maybe it's accountants. Maybe it's insurance folks. I mean, it could be doctors, dentists. I mean, who knows? But I'm just really curious what it takes to make live streaming be successful, particularly like I said on that B2C type approach. So, my work is focused on personal injury and more specifically trucking accidents and farming accidents. And I think in the kind of work that I do, it's people typically aren't thinking about a lawyer, aren't looking for a lawyer, aren't interested in a lawyer until they need a lawyer right now. And then when they're done with that lawyer, they probably don't need another lawyer, at least not for the type of work I do. I hope they don't. I hope they, I hope they don't have to go through these kinds of things multiple times. So I'm not sure if live streaming is really an effective tool for people in my situation. Although I think from what I've been able to tell, YouTube seem, at least in the past, I don't know if it still is, really seems to promote live streams. I think TikTok does as well. So, I think maybe there is that pushing your content, pushing your stream out to people simply because it's a live stream. So maybe there's some benefit there. And I get quite a bit of I do get quite a bit of traction after the fact on some of my YouTube live streams. I've done some live streams like on some significant truck accident verdicts, some product liability verdicts. There was a case involving Ford F-250s that Ford got hit with a huge verdict because of a sort of a known defect in the cab that they didn't fix. So, but that's sort of one-offs. It's really not a sustained thing. And I get it. Like this stuff isn't all that exciting. This isn't all that interesting. This is relatively boring, really, unless you really need someone right now. So I understand that the pain point of trying to get real sustained traction, unless you're going to get into the more of the celebrity lawyer type space. I know there's a number of them, so I don't really include those in this discussion because they are more building an audience, just building an organic audience, and trying to monetize that through ad revenue, maybe some affiliate links, sponsorships, things like that. That's a kind of a different animal, I think. I don't think that what they're doing works for 99.9% of us who aren't really looking at building an audience for the sake of building an audience. We're looking at building an audience to, build awareness for the type of work that we or our law firms do, right? And so I think, I think we'd all like to have that. I mean, it'd be great to have both. It'd be great to have an audience that you can monetize and also provide business to your law firm. But I think it's tough. I think it's got to be tough. At least what I would say, like sort of bottom of the funnel. So by bottom of the funnel, I mean people that are like, for like a personal injury attorney like myself, someone who is, you know, has been in an accident, is now looking for an attorney or trying to figure out if they need an attorney. Um, that's fine. But I think for live streaming to work for those of us that practice like that, it probably needs to be a lot less about the nuts and bolts of car accidents or hiring a lawyer and more sort of big picture, maybe top of the funnel type stuff. That's something I've been trying to work on in my content. So let me give you some examples of the things that I've been working on is sort of that top of the funnel general branding that I think can be interesting to people, even if they never need a personal injury attorney or they don't need one right now. So insurance is a huge, huge part of what I do. Finding insurance, figuring out how much insurance, dealing with common exclusions, coverage provisions, things like that. That's stuff that I deal with all the time. And so what I have tried to do is to use that knowledge and help people to understand their insurance better and think about their insurance better before they need an attorney, because there are some rather important things that people don't understand about their insurance. And and I wouldn't expect you to understand about your insurance, and I wouldn't understand about insurance if I didn't deal with it all the time. Common exclusions, coverage, limitations and things like that that you can fix, and oftentimes can fix without a lot of effort, or money if you know about it, right? So I like to use the knowledge that I have to provide a lot of insurance information to people, so that you have an opportunity to maybe improve your insurance or shop your insurance around before you need it or before your family needs it. So that is, I guess, where I see the possibility of being, have a live stream or just any kind of video channel that can kind of provide value to people at sort of top of the funnel situation. And I'm sure that, for like say transactional attorneys, estate planners, um, I would think they probably have an even better opportunity to provide, recurring information to people that might be suitable for a live stream. Um, but I think a lot of practices, whether you're a divorce attorney, criminal defense attorney, um, I think it's, personal injury attorneys where we're generally kind of one-offs, or we hope we're kind of one-offs. It's hard to know, um, how useful, how to make use of a live stream if we're going to do live streams, to try to build awareness for ourselves and reach out to people that might need us in the future. So, um, but the one thing I like about live streaming, and this is one of the reasons I kind of started doing it quite a bit. One of the biggest hangups that I think most people have when it comes to making video, and this is regardless of what you do for a living and what your purpose is, but making content, especially YouTube, long form YouTube content, is not easy. And a lot of us want it to be really good. So you get, you plan for it, and then you record, and then the editing. So the editing is the part of it that just kills me. Like, I have no appetite for editing. I kind of discourage editing because I don't know how much it helps, especially when your channels are small like mine are. And I also don't know how much it improves the experience, um, for the users. So a lot of times you record stuff, and then you either get bogged down in editing, and it takes a while to get it out, or you don't like it and you don't post it at all. And so that is all kind of the enemy of like having a sustained video presence online. And so I just found that by live streaming, by just saying, okay, like it or not, I'm going to go on, I'm going to talk for 20 minutes or 30 minutes or 60 minutes, and I'm going to leave it out there, and whatever it is, it is. And I have found that to be extremely liberating. And I've had live streams, even if no one showed up at the time. I've had some live streams, like I mentioned earlier, take off. But then what I do with live streams. So one of the things I've been using live streams for, as sort of a secondary benefit to, necessarily having people show up on your stream and engage with you, is I like to use live streaming as a way to feel a little more informal and laid back. So I'm very casual here. I don't have a script in front of me. I don't even really have an outline. I had just a few things that I wanted to talk about. Um, but I think you can just feel like it doesn't have to be super polished in live streaming. Just go with the flow. You're going to make some mistakes. You're going to stumble on your words. You're going to lose track. Lose your train of thought. Things like that. It's all going to happen, and that's fine. But what I like to use live streaming for is to kind of test out ideas and concepts that I'm working with. And so I'll live stream, and I might, yesterday, for example, I live streamed to actually three of my YouTube channels and one of my TikTok channels that's on farm and trucking accidents. And so I went through and I analyzed three um, serious farm accidents that involved a tractor. two of them involved a semi in a collision with a tractor, and the third one was just a passenger vehicle, an SUV. And I just kind of went through and I talked about those, and I, put some stories on online. That's one of the nice things about things I really like about StreamYard is you can put stuff on the screen really easily. I was displaying Google Maps and kind of showing, ground view what the road or the intersection looks like, what the visibility is like, and that, you know, you can just kind of go around, and if people show up and you have comments, you can engage with those people. And then what I do after the fact is I take that, the live stream remains on YouTube. It doesn't stay on TikTok, at least as far as I know, it doesn't. So you could take that video from StreamYard, you can go to YouTube and download it, stays there, download it, and then run it through, some programs that make shorts and reels. That's what I do. I use Opus Clips. It's got to be one of my favorite programs. And so then I'll chop up a live stream into the relevant little topics or points and things like that, and then put that on social media and see, um, does that relate to people? Do people find it compelling? Do they like the subject matter? Whatever. And so you can kind of do your live stream, chop it up, put those clips and reels out on social media, use whichever ones you like. I have found for my content, YouTube and TikTok are by far the best channels. I don't really get much. I haven't figured out Instagram and the other ones so much, but TikTok and YouTube for me are great testing grounds for ideas. And then when I find something that hits, something that resonates, then I can sit down and either go back and do another more in-depth live stream, or just record a non-live video and edit it and do the preparation and editing and things like that it takes to make a really good video, titles, thumbnails, things like that. And the other thing about live streaming that I like is, I think a lot of us have been told or feel like you got to be sort of consistent on your video content, your long form video content. If you just live stream once a week to YouTube and wherever else, you've done that, right? And that content stays there, and you don't necessarily have to feel like you have to put out a really good polished video a week. And a lot of times you don't need to. You can kind of give yourself the time that you need to look at it, refine it, polish it, and maybe you put out one of those kind of polished pieces of content, you know, once a month, every other week, whatever the case may be. And so I think that at least is what I'm doing. I'm not saying that's the right way to do it. I can't even tell you that'll work because I'm only just starting it. But I want people to kind of be thinking outside the box. Um, I know a lot of people are afraid of video. I'm sure a lot of people can't even imagine the possibility of live streaming, and it's actually not that bad. You just get on, start talking. If you can, maybe find a buddy or a friend to interact with. If I ever needed to do a live stream that I was concerned about, I got a handful of friends that I know would be there. They'd show up in the comments and we'd have a discussion. Fortunately, I don't really need that. I kind of know what I want to talk about, and I just go. But if you need some help, um, if you need some help, find someone to help you. So let's see. I got a comment here. Bree says, "I wanted to be a lawyer a long time. What type of lawyer are you?" So I'm what we call a personal injury attorney, a litigation attorney. Sometimes it's easier to define what I am by what I don't do. So I don't do estate planning, wills, trusts, unless there maybe is a lawsuit involving it. I don't do family law. I don't do criminal defense. I used to when I was younger. Taxes, business. I don't do those. So I represent primarily people that have been involved in car accidents, truck accidents, farm accidents. I do trial work. I used to do medical malpractice. I've retired from medical malpractice. Um, so that's what I do. I'm a trial lawyer. I've been doing that pretty much for as long as I've been practicing, which is just over 20 years now. So, how do you like it? Um, so I like it. I mean, I really enjoy the work that I do. Um, I enjoy being a lawyer, and I enjoy being a trial lawyer. Actually, about a few years into my practice, I had a chance to kind of switch focuses and go into more of a um, estate transactional practice. I looked at it and then I realized that I would not do well being that tied to my office and appointments. So a few things I like about the work that I do is it's a lot of work that doesn't have like impending deadlines. It's not a lot of appointments and stuff. It's more like, I got, like for example, before I live streamed, I was working on a brief that it's due on Monday. Now I've had that, I've known it's due for about a month, and I just kind of been picking at it and working at it. I like the trial work. I like doing depositions, questioning witnesses, and things like that. I like trial work, although there's a lot of lawyers that are far better trial lawyers than I am. But I do like jury trials. I My last jury trial was in October. I tried a week long. It was my last medical malpractice trial. They're tough, but you gain a lot of experience, and and I think for me at least, there are some attorneys that handle personal injury that don't try cases or don't litigate cases. What I mean by litigating cases, they don't go out and file lawsuits, and I think that insurance companies know that and take advantage of that fact because they know that at the end of the day this person is going to accept kind of whatever final offer the insurance company makes. But I file a lot of lawsuits, and I don't try a ton of cases, but I try enough cases that they know that, if we can't reach a deal, we go to trial, and that's generally the one thing that the insurance companies are afraid of. So yeah, good question. Appreciate that. So yeah, I started doing video about 4 years ago. And what's really funny is when I was a younger lawyer, I hated marketing. I thought all I wanted to do was sit in the library and write briefs and do research, which is a lot of what I did as a young lawyer. Um, I didn't think I wanted to try cases. I didn't think I wanted to travel. I actually enjoy the traveling now. Um, I've had it. It's less so now since COVID happened. I used to be able to used to do a fair amount of traveling across the country for experts and things like that. Now we do so much of it by Zoom, which is great. I mean, it saves a lot of time and money. But there's just times I enjoy just getting out, getting on a plane and going see, go to see New York or Los Angeles and places like that. So the trial work has changed since I was a younger lawyer, but there's still opportunities there if people want to do that, and I actually enjoy that. I like I like the variety. I like kind of I like the creative part of trying cases and litigating cases. I think I would probably go crazy, staring at wills all day or drafting documents. I think probably. So yeah, appreciate those questions. So my plan then is to is going to live stream probably to these channels, if not every day, pretty much every day of the week. I'll do it around 5 o'clock Central Time, depending on my schedule. Hop on and just talk about what I'm doing. I'm kind of a tinkerer. I like to do videos. I like to try different things, and I like the equipment side of things. I like talking cameras and you know software and things like that. So if people have questions about any of that, podcasting, I'll talk about that briefly, and then I'll wrap it up here. Kind of what got me into it was podcasting, because it was a completely personal podcast. It wasn't not, it doesn't relate to my business at all, but it was something I wanted to do. And I looked at just doing an audio podcast, Spotify and Apple. And then as I got into it, I kind of got overwhelmed by how difficult it seemed to get audio podcasts on Spotify and Apple. Now, things have gotten much, much easier since even 3 years ago when I started. But I actually had already kind of done a little YouTube, and I literally just recorded some I recorded some videos on Zoom. Actually, I just recorded them locally and uploaded them to YouTube, and I was like, I don't know what you people are messing around with all these hosting sites and things like that. So I just started video right away, and I was pretty nervous at first, but you get over it. And I think I think what people are going to find is no one is people are going to become less and less interested in listening to audio podcasts. I think video is just the next it's the minimum requirement. I don't think video is really going to be optional for much longer. I actually don't think video is optional right now, but it's not going to be optional for much longer as people become more and more. We want to watch people, we want to relate to people on our phones or your computers, tablets, whatever the case may be. And then especially in a world being kind of taken over by AI. And I mean that in a couple of ways. And I talked about this in the last live stream. Is that number one, AI is creating a lot of content out there, especially written content, and and so it can be hard to keep up with all that in the traditional, SEO, way of writing, blogs and website content and stuff like that. But maybe even more importantly, is more and more people are using AI, using ChatGPT to do things, to search for restaurants, to search for lawyers, to search for doctors, to whatever it is that you're looking for. People are going to ChatGPT and the LLM models to find those things, and those those places do not want AI generated content, especially if it's video content. But they're searching for authentically human content, and the easiest way to verify that you're an authentic, human content creator is to do video, right? Right. There's, no one would really. I mean, I suppose you could try to fake this, but I'd be a lot better looking if I was going to use AI to, create video content. So that now maybe this is only a temporary thing, but I think for especially for 2026, videos where it's at, and I think as people become less and less interested in highly edited content, highly produced content, I think this is where the live streaming is going to become even more and more um, valuable, because this is truly the human contact that is needed in a world where we're just constantly bombarded by ads and promotionals and fake content and whatever. This is as real as it gets, is live streaming video. So I'm going to lean into it. I'll bring you guys along for the journey. I'll tell you all the successes and failures and mistakes along the way. That's kind of what I do. I like to sort of show what I'm doing, and try to explain the wins, and also explain the mistakes so other people don't have to make the same mistakes. So that's what this channel is about. So that's what I do as a video lawyer. I like to bring people along and try to share some of the stuff that I've learned, because it's been a lot of trial and error, a lot of learning, and it's even more overwhelming now than I think it's ever been to try to figure this stuff out. So that's why I think video is the way to go, and just follow along. I kind of share everything I can, and I'm always happy to try to entertain new questions. So if you want, go ahead and subscribe to my channels. Leave a comment if you want. Otherwise, you can usually find me here around that 4:30, 5 o'clock Central Time most weekdays, and I'll keep doing it as long as I have time. So appreciate everyone for watching, and until next time, everyone, have a good one.